presentation by the assistant superintendent. Let's do the order. We'll do the pledges.
Okay, good evening. Right now we're going to be doing balance. This past spring, West Haven was one of the many school districts doing the SBAC test. It's the first time since the spring of 2020 that we have results for our students in grades 3 to 8. We also have the results of the NGSS, which is Next Generation Science Standards. So tonight we're basically going to give you an overview of the English language arts, the math, and science. In the time preceding this, like I said, we had the assessment in the spring of 2020, and in the spring of 2020, the students did not take it, in the spring of 2020, they did not take it. So we didn't have results. We were remote learning at that point. We went out in March. Last year, we started the school year with a number of distance learners, and we tried to close the gap during the year. We were instrumental in getting many of the children back into school, but there were still students that were distance learning. I know that the building administrators really worked hard on getting the students in for the assessment piece, whether it was calling individuals at a time, calling small groups, and some kids really did just remote learn or remote testing. So we've got as many students participating as possible. As of now, the state hasn't shared with us the growth data that we need. We will be getting growth targets. We will be getting that soon. Right now, we're basically looking at this as a baseline, as a starting point. And since the spring, I know we've all been talking about how we would help the children move from where they were to where they're going. So we planned professional development. We also put SRBI back in place. We put our data teams, our school improvement plans, all things, plus also hiring extra staff and resources to help the students and the staff in the buildings. What we found overall is that the students that were in-person learning during the school year last year, their results were similar to the kids tested in 2018-19. I think statewide, if you look down the chart for Performance Matters, you would see the same thing. This is the first time you have to understand that the little third graders took the assessment, but it was also the first time for fourth graders taking the assessment because they didn't do it the year before. So there was a little bit of a gap there in teaching them how to navigate using the computer and also taking the assessment. What we're going to do tonight is the coordinators are going to share with you the strengths and weaknesses, and I'll share with you who's doing it. It's Nicole Danishevsky for math. We have Dr. Stefania Lariizzo. She's going to be doing the special ed, plus Karen LeBeau. Colette will be doing our English language arts. Maura Rabinowitz and Raffaella will be doing the EL population, plus Raffaella will also be sharing with us the science about the area, and Melanie Dellinger will also be doing the preschool. So if you have any questions, please write them down, and at the end, we'll give you an opportunity to ask us questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Colette right now.
Okay, I'm going to be running this one here, so I think you can hear me, correct? All right. So the first slide is going to be from the English language arts reading and writing planning. And this data shows you grades 3 through 8 take the Smother Balance assessment, and you will notice that red is the below proficiency, the yellow or orange is approaching proficiency, green is proficiency, and blue is above both. So what you're looking at is what happens in grades 3 through 8, and you can see that the biggest black gaps are really in grades 3 through 5. Not surprising, as these are students who need more foundational support in reading and writing. They also had interrupted correction in terms of their practice. So we looked at grades 6 through 8, they're more evenly distributed, and in our 8th grade, their scores were the most remarkable because they can actually weaknesses, identified weaknesses, or identified strengths, meaning their scores are relative to how they usually have. So what you're looking at is scores grades 3 through 8, and 8th graders pretty well performed as expected, mostly because they've had some practice in reading proficient and reading practices. So the next thing is so what gaps did we review and analyze? What instructional gaps did we identify? District-wide, we noticed that the reading, the biggest problem was in vocabulary, both in literary and informational texts for grades 3 through 8, and it's training, meaning the words that are in context within a text that they're reading, such as lava, if they've never read the word lava before. There's no teacher there to explain to them, lava comes from volcano. That did not happen this past year. So contextual language, where a teacher may elaborate a little bit, is an area of weakness. Also in academic words. In other words, the kid is asked to produce something and then read it as produce, or they might understand it as the same as being a product, a math, or a production. So they have some difficulty with those words that are academic in nature. So those are the gaps that we notice in every grade level to different degrees in each school. Okay, next. So what are we going to do about this? So the instructional strategies we have planned is during, starting in May, we asked the teachers in grades K through 4, what did you teach and what did you get to in your curriculum, so that we could do an adjusted reading and writing curriculum. So the teachers have been given at each grade level, 1st through 4, an adjusted curriculum where they can look back to the previous grade levels. We've also increased our literacy support using certified literacy people, in other words, literacy specialists, or we've also created an internal literacy training position, someone who's been trained in literacy power techniques, which is one of the things that the state is teaching us to do. And in doing this, we are going to be able to hopefully focus on the morphology to address weaknesses in vocabulary for grades 4 through 12, and then also revisiting those literary strategies that we brought to the district in 2015 to 18. We also have quite a number of new teachers that need training. So we are going to be doing that internally. Lastly, we're using a program called Patterns of Power in Writing and Editing that will be emphasized in all grades to give them that kind of background in how are words being used in a sentence. Please identify how this particular verb is being used, why would you be using it, rather than just sort of word plan. And now I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, who's going to give you that.
So similarly to language arts, I showed you our grades 3 through 8 math achievement. Grade 5, similarly to ELA, was an area where we had our largest number of students fall into the below proficiency level. That has historically been a trend over time across the state as well, and something that we're working on. As you see in grades 6 through 8, as the mathematical content becomes more sophisticated and more advanced, it's a lot more difficult for parents to provide support to their students, and if they weren't here in school, those gaps in instruction are there. So moving forward, what we saw when we did a little deeper dive, the math team and I, we identified a couple of areas that we decided to focus on and make priorities as we plan for SRBI, we plan for core instruction this year. Numbers and operations, our students' abilities to work with numbers in context, not just in isolation, but in a problem-solving manner. Fractions, which is primarily a focus in grades 3 through 5, although we do start laying the foundation in first and second grade when we're talking about time, quarter hour, half past, etc. Students' ability to solve problems and modeling. And you'll see that we also noticed that in our curriculum-based measures within our CAs and our performance tasks, where our students were having a little bit of difficulty with some higher level application of skills. So what did we do about it? Similarly to English language arts, in the spring, my team of math coaches and facilitators, we got some feedback from principals, from teachers, And we really focused on grades 2 through 8. We said KN1 is a very different animal. We're going to leave it the way it is and adjust naturally there. So looking at grades 2 through 8, the math team worked with myself, an outside consultant over the summer. And one of the first things we did was say, how are we going to help our students transition back to school this year? What's those first 3 weeks of school going to look like? And putting together a really structured plan for our teachers before they dove into the grade level content, allowing time for our students to transition back to a full day, to being in person, as well as for the teachers, the demands of adjusting to delivering instruction for a full day. Even though we were here a full day last year, it was different. So out of that conversation, we developed some little show me what you know, pre-assessment, little quick dipsticks. Prior to teaching a concept or a unit, are there prerequisite skills that students may be lacking or may have mastered that would allow us to either speed up the curriculum or address areas where we need to spend more time? We then created some tiered tasks. The tiered tasks were approaching grade level, on grade level, and beyond. So we're able to differentiate our instruction and differentiate different ways for students to demonstrate mastery while not lessening the rigor of what we're asking our students to do. Second grade has a revised curriculum so that it's better aligned to grades 3 through 8. And we put in some fluency assessments which address the number and operations from the previous slide. And with the support of the board and superintendent, assistant superintendent, we were able to add additional support staff at our school for students and teachers. And then professional development. Being back this year full-time, a little more comfortable, we're able to have some outside consultants, specifically working at Kerrigan, where I have a large number of new math science teachers, working with the math team, and in district to monitor the progress of our students, we utilize NWPA, and we are bringing that back this year, and we're having some consultants provide some ongoing support to both teachers and administrators so that we can interpret our data, plan interventions, and monitor progress. Yeah, so we took a break from it last year just because of the pandemic. It's a standardized norm referenced assessment. We use it in grades 2 through 10 to monitor student progress in literacy, math, and science. And they take it twice a year, and they get a scale score out of that. It gives us a prediction for smarter balanced achievement, and it gives us a prediction for PSAT and SAT at the secondary level. And we're able to look at it by our domains in each of our content areas and then plan enrichment as well as intervention that's needed for our students. And I do know a lot of our special ed staff in PPTs do bring that to the table as part of the planning meeting and determining what growth the student has made and identifying appropriate objectives as well. And I think that's my last slide, right? And I'm going to turn it over to Rafaela, who's going to talk about science and EL.
So when we're looking at the science scores, we actually went up in grades 8 and 11, but that's due to the fact that our teachers spent a lot of time in synchronous learning, online virtual labs, and we had a lot of online science applications that we used. We went down in grade 5, again, the science itinerary was not doing labs, pushing into the classroom. There was a reduction of science time spent in the classroom because of shortening day. What's going to change this year in science is science is back. We have science back in elementary, it's a full day. Labs are back, so we're doing hands-on activities in labs. We have, like the folks said, we have a lot of teachers in grade 5 that are science is back. So our science coach is spending one-on-one time on both of the curriculum instructional strategies to implement the science program. When we are looking when we're looking at the special population, we're looking at our EL and how they performed. Again, in science, our EL population either went up for scores or stayed the same. Our language arts, we stayed the same with jobs. We really struggled with math, obviously with the distance learners. When we look at our Yale population, as of today, we have 920 students in the district, which is about 16% of our population, with 44 different languages. Our number one language is Spanish, 2 is Arabic, and 3 is now Pashto, which is the Afghani language. I'm going to have Mara talk about the plan we have for our Yale students on construction.
Can I just, I think it's really off the topic, but about how we're working with the Irish, we're taking some of these kids in.
Absolutely. So, the Irish, which is the refugee agency, that's based out of New Haven and New Haven County, met with us and the administrator back in June, discussed the Syrian actually refugees that will be coming into our district and the families coming into our district. And the focus has shifted more to Afghanistan children now. From the beginning of school to now, we've registered 19 refugees. They're in different schools. We've been lucky enough to get them to hire part-time tutors. There are some of them speak Pashto, Darcy, and the languages that we need. We still don't have all the languages needed, but we're working hard with the agency. The manager, case manager for our district, pretty much contacts my office and sends an email saying I have a family coming in. Then I work with the principals and the secretaries in the building to make sure that family is set up and the kids are set up, because obviously they're coming to the country today. A lot of them coming in November. So that's been the biggest issue. And at the high school, the big issue because they have no transfer. So that's what we're working with. One more thing I wanted to say though, I think kudos to the teachers and the staff of the buildings last year, the tutors and the PL. We started in January with 243 distance learners and English learners. By the end of the year, we get less than 100. In April, we had 135, which was right before the vaccine actually was given out to the adults. So I was very happy with the hard work. They were constantly calling families every day to touch base and say how important it is for the child to take school. Mara and I, my right hand is going to be discussing instructional plan for English learners this year. We have put a lot of things into place, and we're hoping they come to fruition, right? And they work.
Hello, good evening. So we started with increasing our support staff. We added 3 new EL teachers at the elementary level, and we also added new tutors that are they're part-time. But as Rafaela said, they're speaking Arabic, Bengali, Urdu, Dari, Farsi, and Pashto. So that's so helpful to address the new population coming in. We've also revamped our high school and Bailey EL program. So now our tutors, our EL tutors and our teachers at the high school level and at Bailey are content specific. We also created a department head of EL at the high school, and she is monitoring and helping with instruction. Our students at the high school and in Bailey are also in sheltered English classes. In terms of data analysis, we're looking at last linked scores from last year and the years previous in order to group our students accordingly. Also, our elementary EL teachers are participating in all of the data team meetings at their schools. They're collaborating with classroom teachers on best practices for English learners. In terms of professional development, ACES is providing that for Bailey and high school teachers that are in our shelter program. They're providing effective strategies for our English learners. And also as a department, we provide specialized training for all the tutors, on effective strategies for English learners. Thank you.
Our overarching goal of Equal Services is to ensure that all students with disabilities are improving their outcomes. These scores are just a piece of the puzzle. They do not define the progress our students are making. We use multiple measures to determine student growth. But again, this is just one piece of the puzzle. But what these scores do indicate are that students with disabilities benefit from daily in-person instruction. Our students benefit from hands-on learning delivered in either that small group or individualized setting. And most importantly, our students with disabilities learn best when they're alongside their non-disabled peers, which we weren't able to fully do last year. We took these factors into consideration when analyzing our data. We have over 1,100 students that we service within People Services. And I can say confidently that our department is most excited that we're returning to in-person instruction. I have my partner here, Karen, she's going over our next.
So how are we gonna get back on track? First, we're gonna look at our academics. So we do know our special education populations were assessed with hands-on approach to instruction and reinforcement. We're reinstituting a lot of our best practices that we weren't able to fully execute for the last few years. So we have our small ability-based groupings in our classrooms. We're gonna have the use again of hands-on manipulatives, our station-style learning approach, as well as a multi-sensory approach to instruction. We're also gonna look at the social emotional needs of our students, because we know it's been a long 2 years and it certainly has impacted. So new this year, we have professional development for all of our school staff from ACES that will provide us with social and emotional learning strategies to give all of our staff tools to help support the whole student, not just the academics. We'll continue with our school-based social emotional supports through our related service staff. We are also lucky enough to have the outreach committee this year, which is new to West Haven, which has already helped us immensely the first 2 weeks of school, connecting with their families. And lastly, we're gonna look at engagement. You know, the last few years, our students have missed out quite a bit. So we wanna get those activities that go back into the classroom to make them excited about being back at school. We wanna reinstitute field trips. We wanna make sure the field days are planned, enrichment programs. And we definitely wanna make sure our students know about the athletics and the clubs and all the opportunities within our school that make them excited about coming to school again. So we do feel like we implement these 3 major facets of learning, we will definitely see an overall performance with our students. So now we did.
Hi, everyone. So in early childhood, this is where the foundation for all these skills are being assessed begins. So we're going to continue with our school readiness slots as well as our public school pre-K programs to build the numeracy and literacy skills that we're looking for. So we're continuing our full day kindergarten program. Where we're focused on center-based learning, hands-on learning, with some stimulus breaks and movement breaks, because for some of them, it's the first time they've ever been to school. Big things that we're focused on is building that stamina for school and for learning. And we're also continuing our social emotional learning and partnership with pieces to help students with that transition. All right, and then if you have any questions or comments.
I just want to apologize. We didn't expect the sun to be on top of that. So what we'll do is we'll send you a copy so that you can have a better look at it. Were there any questions for any of us? Well, if you think of anything, you can email us or call us and we'll be there to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, it's 6:09, I will close the regular board of education. Oh, sorry, what was your? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? At 6:09, I will call regular September 20th board of education meeting to order and will rise for the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time, presentment from the public that we wish to address the board. The second time, anyone from the public would like to address the board. Third and final time, anyone like to address the board, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, public portion is closed. We will go to administration status of schools.
Thank you. Just a few comments tonight. First of all, I want to thank Judy and the correcting team for the job they did, not only in all the stores, but I think more importantly, the youth stores. I also know that we spent a lot of time with our building administrator, making sure job. One thing I want to point out, I think it was mentioned, is that while we're doing everything we can, support the kids socially, emotionally, I also think it's important to know that we are going to set our expectations high this year. We're not going to use the pandemic for kids being out of school as an excuse. I know that everybody's working really hard to really assess the kids now. So again, I think they did a really nice job and watching them work very well together over the summer. And I look forward to the plan coming together and seeing what's great. Second, we just found out today that the Fafsa award ceremony will be this Friday, which is September 24th, from 10:30 to 11:30. Dana, did we settle on the media center or the auditorium? But again, the governor thinks that he liked the email said he liked the media center format, so we can do a roundtable discussion.
Yeah, we're just waiting to hear from the other two schools, the small school and large school winners, to see how many people they're bringing, and if we can fit it in the library, we're going to do the library. If they're bringing, a larger number of people, then we'll have to move to the auditorium.
Yeah, and he said the format, and they do want to do a roundtable discussion. I know they want some kids included, and I'm sure you want some guys, council, administrators who work on increasing our numbers. So it'll be nice day on Friday. I want to introduce Mike O'Brien, who's our new communications director. Mike's been on board now for 2 or 3 weeks, and he came over from Wesleyan University in the athletic department, and he's making his way around the district and working on our website and our social media presence. And I know he's had a couple of press releases that has been involved with the Fafsa celebration. Like, just stand up just so that everybody can. And I think it's a position that the board really feels strongly with, especially as we come out of the pandemic. Want to do a good job keeping people informed and promoting districts and local government. So far, like this, it was a lot of work. And unless there are any questions, that's all I have for my report tonight. Again, I'd like to people.
Student representatives.
Good evening, everyone. So I only have 2 announcements today. One of them is what was already stated about the award ceremony for the Fafsa talents that we won. I do have just a bit more information. The 3 students chosen for the panel were myself, Annalicia Tercio, and Justin Rodriguez. Mrs. Kasmar and Miss Benedetti, 2 counselors who worked really hard for this talent, chose us, and they will also be on the panel as well. And it's happening this Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sandon. And just to congratulate the counselors for their hard work with this talent, the Board of Education representatives and Mrs. Paredes were planning a surprise breakfast for them next Friday. So we're looking forward to that, and we all think they really deserve it for all their hard work. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian Khan. I'm also one of the student reps. Just to add on to what Danielle said, we have the new Career Center opening tentatively September 26th. Additionally, we also have career seminars that Mr. Bourdette at West Haven High is conducting. So basically, you'll be talking to students about getting into careers right after high school, and basically focusing the class curriculum to that to that topic. We will also be conducting managing the EMT program that we will have next spring, I believe. And we also have a college and career fair on October 6th at 6 p.m. at West Haven High. Other than that, we had a small concern about, poor Wi-Fi connection in the B wing. However, that's being looked at by the tech people and, will be solved hopefully. And that's all for today.
Keep it posted on that.
Thank you. Board reports?
Thank you. Just a few things here tonight. Maybe no comments, a couple questions if possible. There's no crossing guard on the corner of Portland Lane.
Sorry for that.
There's no crossing guard on Jonesville Road and Portland Lane. It's been there for the last 20 years, as far as I know. It's very highly traveled. Route that the kids from Bailey take every morning to and from school. Portland Lane, obviously in Jonesville Road, cars that there and also on the boulevard there. So I think it's very important that as soon as possible.
I'll contact them. They work for the police department, they assign them. You're right, that's the crosswalk.
Also, I'm going to mention again tonight, I've got formal meetings after tonight, but I'm going to mention again about the flashing lights on the road.
I'll give you an update, yeah, so it's all been approved by the city in July, so electricians, what I was told today was they're going to terminate everything by the end of the week, and by the week's end, next week, everything should be reported. So I've been on it.
No, listen, I'm not, you know, saying I appreciate all your efforts, I really do, but I just want to keep on mentioning, I think it's critical that the safety of our students, you know, in the morning and the afternoon too, so. Thank you for all your efforts there, Chris. I know you did work on it for quite some time, so thank you. Also, I did go to high school today, and I did want to look at my own eyes, on the leaks, whatever, at the gymnasium, the auxiliary gym, and you know, I was quite surprised about the damage that was done over there. To both, you know, both gyms, to be honest with you. Not sure what the plan is to alleviate that problem, but I think we spent $130 million in taxpayer money for a brand new school. I don't think it's right at this point, you know, for school to be, you know, 1 or 2 years old, that, you know, we have these problems. I'll make sure the problems are rectified before they sign off. And I just want to know what the plan is going to be. I also did tour the wood shops, the auto shops. They get water also. You know, the last storm, and those heavy storm, the fact of the matter is, you know, these things should be taken into consideration. I mean, we have another heavy storm, same thing's going to happen over and over again. I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, so I don't have the exact answer, but I did notice there's a small catch basin there. And it's certainly not enough to take care of that, the runoff of that water right there. So I think that problem's going to be going on and on and on unless we solve the problem in the near future. And I hope that the city would not sign off on this as a CO unless these problems are all taken care of. So I'm not sure. I missed the last meeting. I apologize for that. I know you did address it, but I'm not sure in the last week or two what the plan is in place. But I don't want to see this happen again. The wood shop is sold. The auto shop is sold. The back of the cafeteria is sold. You know, it seems like the water is coming in, heavy rain, stuff like that. So I'm just asking this question tonight, you know, find out what the answer are and the solutions.
So first of all, we were able to clean the area over here, and there was no damage, no sustained damage as far as we know. They are planning on adding catch basins. We actually put the word in, we walked the property, architect, several notes. I have a map which I can't read, which I can flash to give to you, just to show you areas that they identified. Add drain, things like that. Now, the unfortunate thing, though, is talk about CO. Here, we're in the building tonight because we're a big CO. We received 50 lot. So as a result,
Maybe parts of the building being built, whatever, this might have been CO here, or whatever, maybe other parts of the
so
building. So I'm not sure.
the gym, for example, we have the CO. So here's what happened. the next step is we have to put an insurance claim in for the three gyms. Now, we actually went, the adjuster was here on Friday. We believe that the third gym, the small area, things like that, that's going to require a brand new floor. We believe that the auxiliary gym is going to need to be completely stripped down and refinished. The main gym, which after playing on it tonight, the play area is pretty good. There's some areas there before though that need to be polished. There's something would actually close. So that is in the process of being addressed. The adjuster was, I thought, pretty sympathetic to our needs when we upped the area with them. By the way, we're not the only gym. I know, like Chris had mentioned before, the adjuster told us he's been in gyms and schools up and down the East Coast because of that storm. But it is on us. We will claim to as far as the basins and the property goes. It's not being told by the building committee that we will make the necessary adjustments to these drains and basins and things like that. And some of it is because it is not. That's what I know right now. Especially since we're going to work on the adjustment.
I appreciate that. My concern is that, listen, people want to try to go in the budget, which is fine, I have no problem with that. My concern is to make sure that the building is properly safe, not only safe, but, it's built properly, basically, so that, all these types of storms that we have, they will weather all these types of storms, basically, with snow, rain, wind, whatever it may be. That's my concern. As I said, we spend an awful lot of money for this building. The state gave $8 million, the state gave me $50 million, it's all our taxpayers' money anyways, but, I just want to see it happen, 1 year, 2 years down the road, fall here again. So, thank you for, pressing that down. Hopefully, these problems get solved. Also, what is, how many children do we have in high school right now?
1,775, I'm sorry, 1,780.
Close, we have 1740 that are active. We have another 70 pending, but currently 1740 that are active.
In the building, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't supposed to be holding 1,500 kids. 88, so 200 over. So I'm not going to say anything, but I was concerned, a couple of years ago about overcrowding of the school and stuff like that. So I figured if we're in high school, more kids want to come to the school. Right? That was my concern. Not blaming anybody, obviously. My kids went to West Haven High School, and I have kids right now at some high school because it's a state of the art school. But my concern, was from a couple of years ago that it was going to be too small. And if you're saying that, it wasn't going to be the case, but unfortunately, I believe that's the case right now. Just there.
You have some plans in the work, possible expansion. But as I said, Kathleen will actually ask the same question in the last meeting. It's an argument that we made to the state. We said when we went to the state that with 1,000 students in magnitude, we think when we build a brand new high school, we're going to get kids back. We also think, at least one of our goals was to give parents who were ready to put down $15,000 to $20,000 in private school money to say, you don't have to do that. Come and take a look at what we have. The infinite wisdom of the state told us that when that happens, you can come to us and you can apply for an admission. That was the answer. I didn't like the answer then. I don't like it today. Exactly what you're saying is what you're seeing. But that being said, there's a very specific formula based on the enrollment projections that we provide. what I'm telling you based on what I know. I agree more with what you're saying, and your logic makes total sense. But it's not one that the state is willing to listen to. If we made that, not more than one. With the number of kids we had going to magnet schools, over 100, why did they go? They went because they were good buildings. Well, now we have these buildings, we don't have to go.
So you're saying that the state said this is a problem down the road that we could put an addition on this?
Correct.
Will we put it, just curious, I just wouldn't know what we put around here.
That's Jim, I'm telling you, that was the answer. I mean, I can't defend it, I'm just telling you, that's what the answer was. It made no sense to me then, it still makes no sense.
Also, I just want to bring up, I could bathrooms on the second floor closed now. Bathrooms on the second floor, they kids.
The second floor e-wing was closed for a while today. We had some vandalism there. I'm sure you've heard on the news, the TikTok challenge to steal or vandalize in bathrooms. So we did have that second floor e-wing closed today, but it's reopened now.
So this is no reflection on the students. I'm sure 99.9% of students, good kids, unfortunately, just a few that do some damage here.
Yeah, we normally have security guards at each bathroom. As you know, there's a labor shortage everywhere that includes security guards. But I spoke with Matt and Neil, and we kind of came up with a plan to be able to add a few more guards right now as they train. So we should be able to go back to a guard near every bathroom, because for the first 3 weeks we weren't able to do that. We just didn't have the manpower. But starting this week, we should be able to do that, especially with this new challenge going around. It's a silly thing and it'll pass, just like eating Tide Pods, but right now it's something we have to deal with.
Great, thank you very much. For your explanations. Thank you.
I just want to say that progress that we made. D1 minutes, D1A, the minutes from the August 16th meeting. I'll accept all the motion to approve. Motion to approve. Second. Okay. Well, these are August 16th. Yep, okay, Jim second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? D2B, the minutes from the September 8th. Motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And one abstention. Thank you. D2, 21-122.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Three. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any adjustments? So moved. And the rest of the agenda looks informational. All of it received.